Hi, it's Corey from Cambridgeshire Money, part of the Money Group, which has mortgage brokerages based all around the UK. Today's video is all about affordability. So one of the biggest questions that we'll ever get from customers is how much can I borrow? The first thing I will say is that if you ever speak to a mortgage broker and they tell you it's about 4.5 times your income, get a new mortgage broker. It is just lazy. It is not as simple as that. Going back a few years, you used to be able to get a mortgage, you'd go to the bank, and it was about, regardless of everything, you could borrow 4.5 times your income, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. The marketplace has changed, so income multiples are still involved in some way, but it doesn't necessarily dictate how much you can borrow. They are now more used as a maximum. So a lender may say the most you can borrow from us is 4.5 times your income, but we have to take into account commitments, children. So it's not a case of taking your income, what you get, and timesing that by 4.5. So what I'm going to do on this video is I'm going to just show you a couple of lenders' calculators and what we do as mortgage brokers to actually work out how much you can borrow to give you a bit of an idea. Because there's other things also to take into account. So when you're sat at home and if you were to sit there and you'd spoke to a broker and a broker had said 4.5 times your income, you might have taken your basic salary, any overtime you've been doing over the last couple of months, and adding that all together. But not all lenders will actually take that overtime or all of that overtime. You may receive some benefits, and again, not all lenders will take those benefits. So it's not as easy as just piling all of your income into one amount, timesing that by 4.5, and that will tell you how much you can borrow. So hopefully this will clear it up a little bit for you, just to kind of show you how much you potentially could borrow, and make it a bit clearer as to why, if you speak to me, I take a lot more details than maybe somebody else would.
So this is one of the systems I use when trying to calculate people's affordability. I'm going to start off very basic, just simple 10% deposit purchase over 30 years, and we'll just, pretty straightforward. Two applicants. We'll put them down as first-time buyers, and we'll take away the children just to start with as well. Now, we're just going to look solely on basic salaries to give you a bit of an idea. So they're going to take away the overtime and make sure there's no other allowances. And we're going to put both of these couples' basics at £20,000. So there's no additional income, and it's just solely looking at how much people could borrow on their basics here. No loans as well, to keep it nice and nice and easy, so there shouldn't be any deductions. And we're going to put averages in here for what we'd expect people to be paying for council tax, gas, electric, water, food, mobile phones, broadband, Sky packages, all those kind of things, even though I've been optimistic there with £80 for a Sky package and a mobile. And we're just going to choose all of the lenders on here to make sure they're all selected. Now, we're not really worrying about if they've got products or not at this point, because I know not a lot of lenders as of today are accepting 10% deposits, but this is just as a bit of an idea. So we'll click calculate and let the system whir around a little bit. And what this is doing in the background is all that information that I've just put in, it's just feeding that into these lenders' systems, and then those systems will then shoot back a figure to say, based on the details that we've input, what it would come back at. Now, not all the time are these 100% accurate, so we would always follow up by directly checking the lender's calculator themselves, but it's definitely a good starting point and a good indicator as to kind of what the affordability is, and most of the lenders now are starting to feed back into the system. We just might have to wait a few seconds for everyone to filter in. But we'll see who we've got here to start with. So to start with now, these are just lenders that are appearing to say that they've got products available. So these are quite consistent, 179, 179, 179, 178 from these lenders. So that's just a bit under the £180,000 mark. And what we're going to be looking for is loan to income. So we're not looking for anything in particular on how much you're borrowing versus your income. So as we go further down, now as you can see looking on here, here's the whole range of lenders. So Santander are literally appearing with a figure of £113,000. Now this is exactly the same details as what Skipton and Accord have just said 179 to. NatWest here at 170, a few more lenders in between. Coventry 180, Halifax 190, Nationwide 190, and Virgin down there appearing to say that potentially could look up to £200,000. Now, if you're on, £40,000 jointly, that's actually about 5 times your income. So that's just a starting point. So I've done one calculator, and as you can see, they're not all 4.5 times income. There's a lot of different things that different lenders look at. So what I'm now going to do is just show you how much of a difference in circumstances can make. So instead of having £40,000 just in basic salaries, I'm going to change this to having £15,000 in basic salaries, but working overtime and earning an additional £5,000 a year in overtime. So the income is still £20,000 per person, but 15,000 of it is a basic, and £5,000 of it is a overtime payment. Now, most lenders would look at about an average about £416 a month to earn £5,000 a year, and I'm going to make no other changes other than just how the income is earned. So we're still earning £40,000, but we're just earning it slightly differently now. And again, we will just have to wait a few seconds whilst the details are all pinged off to the lender systems and then coming back. But I mean, I've done this a few times now, ran this a couple of different times, and I always find it interesting in how different these figures can come back with the smallest of changes, really. And like I keep saying, really, it's the same income. It's still £40,000 a year, but it's just in a different place, so earning it in overtime instead of earning it in a basic salary. Now, these figures here are slightly different, not very much, but they are a tad little bit different to what we saw before. But now, if we look here, we're going to change this. Now, Virgin before, when we'd said loan to income £40,000 in basic, that was sitting at 200. There's now no figure in there at all. So that's kind of quite an interesting point to see there. Santander remain the same. They are quite good with overtime, but Nationwide is a big drop. Nationwide were previously at £190,000, and now they've dropped it below 135, and the figures are still £40,000. So that's, you've lost just what's that, £56,000 just because the money is in a different place. We're going to keep scrolling down here. I think the other one we had, NatWest were 170. They're now, they've lost £100 because of it. Halifax were 190, and they're now down at 170. So again, we've lost another £20,000 there, just because that money is in a different place, so you're getting it in a different format, which for a lot of people is quite interesting because you could consistently work your overtime and you could rely on that to get the mortgage that you want, and then when you run a calculator like this and you see actually how much of a difference it makes, just because it's not guaranteed basic, as much as it's consistent, it's not what the lender would consider guaranteed. So that's two calculators with a bit of a difference, but I'm just going to change this back again. So I'm going to put these back up to 20,000. And then what I will do is we'll throw in a loan. So each of these individuals will say has a car loan. I think nowadays, quite common for a car loan to be around £200–250 a month. So we'll put it down at 250. So we put the income back up to £40,000 jointly, but there are 2 car loans which come to a total of £500 a month, and we've made no other changes. Now, in terms of when you're looking at your income, £40,000 in with £500, a month on a car loan going out, so £6,000 a year, probably to your bank looks very, very affordable. But the lenders would, when they're checking what you could borrow, they're doing various stress tests in the background to see, if the mortgage payment, if the interest rate was at 6%, is it still affordable? And that's why these figures are changing so kind of frequently. But yeah, it's going to be, again, interesting to see what I realise I say a lot in these videos, so you're probably going to get sick and tired of hearing that. HSBC, 179. Now, Barclays, look at that drop from where they were before. They were just literally the same as HSBC, and we've lost all of that just because you've got a car loan. So let's just order this by the, oh no, what have we got here? Again, just notifying the changes from where we were before because of the car loan. We're just going to order this by loan to income again. And we'll see it makes no difference to Santander. Again, they're being quite good and flexible, but they are at the bottom of the pile with the amount of money that you can borrow, so that's not much help for a lot of people. I mean, that's just over 2 times your income there. Nationwide, now £40,000 of the car loan at 157. Halifax, that seems to have hit them. They've gone from 190 down to 167. NatWest at 170, they're quite good. Virgin, 192. So they're not too bad. So it's interesting that if you look at Virgin, £200,000, £40,000 basic, add a £15,000 basic and 5,000 overtime, Virgin, and then peering is nothing, and then putting a car loan in there back up there at 192. So it's an interesting point. What we're going to do is we're going to add 2 children into this particular calculator, 4 and a 2-year-old, nice happy family. £40,000 in basic, and we'll leave the car in place as well. So we've got 2 children now, and 2 cars, and £40,000 between the 2 in basic salary. So we've done 3 different calculators, and we've had 3 different sets of figures, other than Santander, who still bottom of the pile at 113,000, which, like I say, it's not even, just over 2 times your income. And now we'll just have to wait a few more seconds again. I hadn't really factored this in and the amount of time that it would take to calculate all these, so I do apologise for that. But we'll just see, and we've got a couple of people processing through now, which is great. And we're probably going to see a whole different set of figures here again. So now we've finally seen a drop in HSBC. Again, not massive, but it's there. Barclays now down here at 116. So if you've got 2 kids and a car each, and you only own £40,000, it's again the amount you can borrow is drastically dropped there. Skipton and Accord again slightly lower from where we were at before. And this is a real life situation, I mean loads of people where they have a car on finance each and they do have a couple of children. And to think in this situation we were saying about having a 10% deposit, it's not unusual, the situation we're looking at. Virgin, again, now appearing as 0. Santander still remaining at 113. They're not budging. Nationwide, 132. And the very first calculator we did with Nationwide, it was £190,000 if you earned 40. So we're losing £60,000 there just because you've had a couple of kids and you've got a car each. So, and this is why I always say, if someone says, it's about 4.5 times your income, it is lazy, because as soon as you sat there and said, but by the way, I have a child, or by the way, I have a car on finance, the amount that you can borrow then just completely flips. And that's only going to lead to disappointment to you if you'd have been told you can borrow 190, and then you come back around and say, by the way, I have a £250 car loan, and suddenly the amount you can borrow drastically decreases.